And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou. Our show today comes to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Tsimshian people. Snowpacks are an important water source that feeds streams and rivers as they melt. Therefore, snowpacks are both drinking water source for many communities and a potential source of flooding. On today's Open Connection, we return to the archives to bring you this 2001 story.
It's pretty plain to see. Pretty much wherever you are in the Northwest, snow levels are well below where they normally are this time of year. River levels are down. In Terrace, Ferry Island isn't really an island at all right now.
Snowpack in the northwest part of the province is just a little below normal, not like other areas of the province, such as the Vancouver Island, Lower Mainland, over into the Thompson, and even down into the Kootenays, where it's well below normal. But here we're sitting just a little below normal.
The current snowpack levels are below normal. We just finished some surveys Tuesday and today, and Hudson's Bay Mountain, just outside of Smithers, is 75% of normal, and out east of Smithers, they're about 70 to 80% of normal.
It's hard to believe that just 2 years ago, the Northwest had a tremendous snowpack, and when it all finally melted in the spring, the area, especially around Terrace, was dealing with flooding. So does that mean that we don't really have to worry about flooding this year? Well, not exactly.
One of our worst flood years in southern BC occurred when the snowpack was actually only 40% of normal. A major contributing factor is the melt rate. If we get a rain on snow event where you receive several inches of rain, for example, on top of an existing snowpack and milder temperatures, all that snow can run off at a very rapid rate, and because it enters the watershed quite quickly, the water doesn't soak into the ground very quick, so it all runs off, and we can have extremely high flood conditions, flood problems.
Snowpack levels are being monitored carefully, but no one's showing too much alarm, at least not yet. BC Environment is tracking river levels. The Forest Service is watching ground moisture levels. The district agriculturalist is keeping tabs on things like winter kill as well as moisture. Wildlife biologists are monitoring the availability of forage and food sources for animals, and none of them seems to be too worried to this point.
It would be of concern to people when they're dealing with storage of water from runoff events for irrigation purposes. Say, for example, if they had a dam where they were backing up water for that summer's irrigation, low snowpack can affect those people. In this area, we're sort of blessed with, fairly decent precipitation during the summer, so irrigation really isn't all that of a concern. The people that do irrigate generally are pulling it out of the big river systems, so there's usually ample water for that.
If there's anyone who has expressed some unease with current conditions, it is the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. The low snowpack is a bit worrying because river levels and water temperatures are so very important to the survival of spawning fish.
If water levels are low, or much lower than normal, quite often fish can be prevented from accessing their spawning grounds because of low water barriers or things of that nature. Secondly, when water levels are low and air temperatures are high, it tends to elevate the water temperatures as well, which can create serious problems with respect to low oxygen levels for the fish, and also in many instances can cause parasite problems and disease problems on the spawning grounds.
In the Bulkley Valley, there are mild concerns over the fact that there isn't really much of an insulating layer of snow.
What that means is for people that are growing alfalfa crops primarily, is that you get a fairly hard freezing event going on before you get an insulating layer on the ground. And that can have serious impacts on the crop survival for the next year. And it's just a term we call winter kill. The plants are not able to withstand that cold temperatures.
During a low snowpack year, it's crucial that the moderating temperatures that we receive in spring occur in just a normal fashion, so that we don't have a quick runoff. If we have a quick runoff, then all that moisture that we've received in the snow over the winter is lost.
What kind of a year are we in for? Will we have a summer of tinder-dry forests? Is there still a chance of spring flooding? Well, that all depends on the weather that we get over the coming weeks, rather than the size of the snowpack.
If it melts very fast and you have a lot of it, then we start seeing the impacts downstream. Cities like Terrace, where a few years ago there was this, pretty drastic measures for people taking to move animals out of the floodplain area because they know it was coming.
If we come up with a very dry spring, the amount of the runoff from the snowpack just evaporates and doesn't get absorbed. So that just creates a drier condition. So we're just hoping that we'll get our normal spring, the spring rains, and everything will be copacetic.
Pretty much everyone we spoke with agreed that the real problems are much more likely to be down south. The forecasts are that southern BC and the western United States are facing a very dry year.
In recent years in the south, there's been significant mortality, in the 70 to 80% mortality because of low water and high temperatures. So it is obviously a very, very serious concern throughout the province.
The U.S. is really gearing up this year. We've had meetings with the U.S. Forest Service and whatnot on our cross-border agreements, and they're really gearing up basically because of what happened in Montana and Washington last year, and they are almost in drought conditions already down there, so they're really gearing up. And the southern part of our province, as I said, is looking pretty dry at this point. Again, it'll come down to what happens during the spring. Will we get our spring rains as per normal? If not, it could be a very busy year.
Compared to the rest of the province, our region we have a more normal snowpack than southern BC. Southern BC is approximately 50% of normal, whereas the Skeena watershed is 70 to 80% of normal, which, yes, it's a low year, but it's not significant in my opinion.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. When asked his opinion, Winston Churchill replied, "Golf is a game whose aim is to hit a very small ball into an even smaller hole with weapons singularly ill-designed for that purpose." Let us return to the archives with Mo Hayes.
So here we are at the Prince Rupert Centennial Golf Course, the golf course that seems to never close, right, Mo?
Oh, this year it's been incredible. The people played golf year-round. We played on our greens all year, and it was just the place to play was come out to the coast and play golf this winter.
So it held up pretty well over the whole year?
Yes, it did, and the reason it held up so well, Scott, is because it was dry, and that's why we were able to play the greens. They got pretty firm. It was really like playing on a concrete floor for a while in February. But because the course was so dry, there was no damage. There's no problem playing in the wintertime.
But enough talk about the weather. This piece is about getting you ready for the new golf season.
Mo, I guess the first place to start is the grip when we're tuning up our game, right?
Definitely it is, Scott. The grip may be the single most important factor in everything we do in golf. If we will put our hands on the club correctly, we have a good head start. And a correct grip with the club face facing the target, always put your top hand on first. And the key point to focus on here is the position of the top hand on the golf club. When you look down at your top hand, the left hand for right-hand players, the right hand for left-hand players, is see the first two knuckles on the back of your left hand. Another checkpoint is to make sure that the V formed here by the forefinger and thumb of the top hand, the left hand, in the case of the right-hand player, points to the right shoulder, the right side of the body. Once you have the left hand nicely positioned on the golf club, just take your right hand and simply cover the left thumb. And whether a person decides to hold the club in a baseball grip, an interlock grip, or an overlap grip is a matter of personal likes. The key is to get the top hand on in good position, and then thinking always, hold light, not tight.
Why is that?
Well, the tighter we hold on to the golf club, Scott, the more tension is built up through our arms, right up into our shoulders. People can do a simple check for themselves. If we hold lightly, we're able to move the club like this easily. The tighter we hold, the more rigid the club becomes.
Okay, I know from talking to you previously that the next topic that we're going to discuss is alignment, right?
That's right, Scott. You remembered well that we talk about the gap. Grip, aim, and posture, or grip, alignment, and posture. So definitely a person must be lined up for the target where they want the ball to go. What we have here, and we encourage people who are going to practice, when you practice, put golf clubs down on the ground to use to help you with your alignment. And what you'll notice here about the clubs that we've set up for Mike, the club out here is Mike's intended line of flight. We've lined a club up here for Mike to put his feet against. These clubs are parallel. So in golf, we talk about the railroad track method of alignment. Mike will line his feet, his hips, and his shoulders up parallel with his intended line of flight. Rather than having this foot pulled away back here, so it indicates his feet are maybe aiming out there, his hips in one direction, and his shoulders, Mike's all twisted up. You know, he's only hoping the ball goes somewhere. With good alignment, with his feet, hips, and shoulders parallel with the target line, Mike is now ready to swing along his body to the target, and pretty good chance the ball is going to go there.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. Professional Scottish golfer Tommy Armour stated after his 1931 Open Championship that golf is an awkward set of bodily contortions designed to produce a graceful result. Let us return to the archives as Mo Hayes shares more golfing tips.
What happens if you do move your feet?
Well, people will move their feet away from that line in the advanced stage where people are maybe trying to play a fade or play a hook. Basically what we have, if Mike pulls his right foot back here a little bit, we call this a closed stance, and this would encourage the ball to go from right to left, hook or draw. If he moves his right foot in and pulls his left foot back a bit, now, if he swings along the line of his feet, he's playing a fade or a cut shot. But for warming up in the spring, people would do well to get a nice square stance with their toes against this line, parallel with the target line, the hips and the shoulders all lined up. And Mike here is really prepared to hit a good shot now.
Now, going back to the gap principle, the next item on the list should be posture. How should he be standing, except for square?
It is. GAP, grip, aim, posture. The posture cannot be overemphasized. Mike has good posture. He's in a nice athletic position here. His knees are slightly flexed. His feet are about shoulder width apart. Mike has developed a bit of a spine angle here as he's leaned forward from his waist or even from the hip flexors, and he's got his backside nicely out. Very important thing in the posture. We see a lot of people playing golf like this because somebody told them, keep your head down. We say, keep your chin up and your eyes down.
Okay, Mo, so now we're ready to get Mike to hit the ball here. What should he be thinking about?
Well, right now in the spring, he may be thinking about a few things. Ideally, in the golf season, when you're tuned up, you don't think about anything now. But you notice here that Mike has the ball placed about halfway between his feet. His hands are nicely hanging from the center of his body there. His stance is excellent. His posture is good. His grip's great. There's no reason he won't hit a pretty good shot.
Okay, Mike, let her rip. And what do you know? You were right.
Of course, last but not least, a little advice on your short game.
Basically what we want to do here, Scott, is position the ball more towards our front foot now. Get our body nicely positioned over the ball here. A guideline we always talk about is if we drop this ball out of Mike's left eye here, it's going to drop right onto the ball that we're putting. So we have our eyes right over the ball. We usually like to have our knees flexed again, and we have our weight more on the left foot. Now some people will putt with their hands a little bit forward of the ball. The one thing we want to avoid is having our hands behind the ball. So even or slightly forward. Now again, we see here, Scott, how we set the golf clubs down. We use these little crutches to help us in our practice. Again, we see here the railroad track method. Mike's got a nice channel, and he learns now, he practices. This can be done at home. Put something down on the floor. It doesn't have to be golf clubs, it can be anything. And see if we can stroke our putter back and forth without hitting the edge. We might move this in a little bit closer. Now that's not much wider now than Mike's putter. And his drill is to swing his putter back and forth without hitting either the inside club or the outside club.
After a couple of close attempts, Mike did find the hole, and it was time to wrap the lesson up.
This has been a really good warm-up for the season. It is Masters Week, and I have to ask you before we go, any predictions?
Wow, Scott, I really think that when you talk any golf tournament now, if you name any player other than Tiger Woods in any tournament he's in, you must know something that nobody else knows. I just hope that we have a great Masters, and like the great Masters tournaments, that there's 6 or 8 guys in contention when it comes to the back nine on Sunday.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Elvis Presley died over 46 years ago, but is still very much alive for a lot of people, including many in the Northwest. Tribute artists bring his persona and music back to the stage. In this final segment of Open Connection, let us return to the archives as Robin Kelly shares how a tribute artist runs in the family.
A packed bar was the site of Elvis's latest reincarnation. Robin Kelly, the brother of the 1997 world champion Elvis tribute artist, wowed the crowd for nearly 4 hours of Elvis tunes. Robin started the act only 11 months ago.
My brother, who's an Elvis tribute artist as well, he was #1 in the world in 1997. He got hired up in Las Vegas. So he got hired up. The management company had seen me sing at some of Darren's shows and different things like that, and they offered me the job. And so I figured I didn't want to be 40 years old and saying, well, I wish I would have done this or whatever. So I gave it a serious try, and I gave myself a time limit. And by the time the time limit hit, I was having a blast.
Kitimat has its very own Elvis tribute artist, Adrian Frisenar. Frisenar, an Alcan retiree, began singing Elvis tunes after high school, then took a hiatus until a friend asked him to perform at a masquerade party a number of years ago.
I made an impromptu Elvis costume. I had a pair of white jeans, and one of my daughters got me a white satin shirt. So I got about maybe a quarter yard of gold lame, made a belt, and got some plastic rhinestones and some brass nail heads and stuff like this, and that was my first Elvis outfit.
Frisenar dislikes the term impersonator. He contends that's not what it's all about.
I don't try to make people think I am Elvis. I just want to keep his name alive, keep his music alive. And being 57 with a bad back, I don't do the kind of moves that he did and that Robin did last night. So I'm a little bit more subtle in that regard. But I try to do my shows with the mindset of raising money for charity.
Robin Kelly agrees. He says his act is about celebrating the man.
I love Elvis. You know, like I'm a big fan of Elvis, and that's the only reason I'm doing this. You know, and I know there's a lot of other people there who love Elvis Presley music, and it's for them and me, and we all get up together. It's a little party. We have a good time. I sing some songs, and everybody has a great time. Everybody goes home happy.
Trisonar is well known in Kitimat for his Elvis performances. He's traveled to Memphis in the past and plans to return in August for the 25th anniversary of Elvis's death.
I did a stained glass panel last year, which was shipped down to Memphis last fall for Presley Place. And Presley Place is a low-cost housing development. Raised the money used to build that was raised through the Elvis Presley Foundation, and through the sale of a lot of his artifacts that went up for auction a couple years ago. So I'd like to kind of see it in its location.
We'll leave the last word to Elvis, aka Robin Kelly.
So help your brother along the way, no matter where he starts. For the same God that made you, made him too. These men with broken hearts. I'd like to sing a song along those same lines. We'll see you in a while, folks. If I could be you, if you could be me, for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes and stay on me, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes. Just walk a mile in my shoes. Every boy you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
We'll turn when we get here. I go in. Back up. Slowly. I'll go up with it. Turn it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from his mind and heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Picktow.